premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today. It is myself, Chris Williams, licensed marriage and family therapist. I was like fumble over my own credentials. So, and we have licensed psychologist, Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Hello.
Good to see you, Jill.
Good to be here.
And we have author, speaker, pastor extraordinaire, founder of Homeward, Jim Burns. How you doing, Jim?
I am so glad to be with you. I realized I haven't been with you for the last couple of weeks, and I miss you too.
I know. It's great seeing you.
Yeah.
Great spending time together.
So I really do.
So, Jim, you have this new book.
Right.
It's coming out.
Right.
Right?
It's out.
Oh, it's out.
It's out.
It's out. Tell us more about it.
Well, you know, it's funny because I get teased about it because it's a book called A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. So I used to get introduced. I used to be a speaker to kids. I think you know this part. About 250,000 of them a year. And I would get teased because they would say, this is an expert on sex. And if my wife was ever with me, she would whisper, I didn't know you're an expert on sex. I've been married to you for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, and my kids were just... They were so embarrassed.
Trying to hide under the chair.
Please don't. If you're going to talk on that subject, I don't want to be with you. But you know what? I felt like the culture has changed so much. I'd written a book in 2008 on this subject for teens, and I hope that their parents, would read it. And the culture has changed so much that we decided to, just talk about it in a different way and not an angry way. I mean, I don't think my book in 2008 had anger, but there was a lot of us in the Christian world. It sounded angry. It sounded petty. And what we really needed to do was teach them that, God is the master designer of our body and talk a lot more about the entire aspect of sexuality. God made your body. He sees it as good. And so, I'm thrilled. It's so funny. I've written a bunch of books. I love this book. If nobody else reads it, my mom's passed on, so she's not going to read it. She would have liked it.
Yes.
But I am thrilled that we can offer a resource that is unashamedly Christian and yet loving. And we start with saying, do what Jesus did, lead with love. Kindness matters, things like that. Because I don't think the world is doing it right, and I think we're really confused, and we've got a bunch of kids who are leaving the church, and part of it is because they think we do a bad job of talking about what God created, our sexuality. And yet, can we do it still and be strong from a Christian point of view? So that's my take on this book.
Yeah,
Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. I love it.
And what are you hoping that as students and parents that grab a hold of this book, what's your hope for its impact for them?
Well, actually, anytime I'm speaking, I was just in Virginia, WAVA. I had a bunch of WAVA people there. It was really cool. And I said, how many of you received good, positive, healthy sex education? About 500, 600 people in the room. 2. Parents.
Wow.
I was talking to parents. So what that says is it was awkward for their parents, so they obviously didn't talk to their kids. And now what I want us to have those awkward conversations.
Yes.
I'm not saying they're not going to be awkward, because they aren't. I'll just tell you. My kids always said, Dad, you thought you were so good at this and you did great with other kids, but your bald head sweat, your ears turned red, you stuttered. Right, I did. These are my kids. But when we have those conversations, we become the safest person. If not, they go to the internet. That's the number one place they get information. Well, I don't trust the internet. I use the internet, but I don't trust it for my sex education.
Yeah.
And so I hope that we can have good, healthy dialogue and teach them about what the master designer has planned for them with their sexuality.
What I love about this resource, Jim, is that there seems to be very little stones unturned.
Yeah.
You don't shy away from controversial topics. You don't shy away from what is really being talked about and addressed in our culture and in our schools. And most importantly, it is a powerful guide for both parents like myself and teenagers like my sons to walk through this and to have something to, like it says, be a guide.
Yep.
Jim, thank you for writing this book, and I want to encourage everyone to get it, A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. Listen, we're going to be in studio a couple hours. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us. And by the way, we are streaming this show on Facebook now as well as YouTube. You can go to Facebook Live. You can go to YouTube. If you go to Facebook, please push that like, share this show. Let's get it out there. Let's help more people. Again, I mentioned this right before the break. We're going to be in studio for a couple hours today, and you can give us a call, 1-800-229-3000, whatever you're struggling with. We'd love to guide you in that process. Again, myself, Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and Nicole from Dallas, Texas. Nicole, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm okay. I'm nervous.
No problem. We totally understand. But tell us what's going on.
Okay. There's of course a lot of backstory, so I'll just kind of give you the gist of it and let you ask what you need to ask to get there. I'll just say I went to Restore back in February 2023. I had a discovery by my then at the time 16-year-old daughter. Discovered her father having some FaceTime sexting, video, not just texting, but I don't know what you call that. And so she walked in on him, and so I learned about that in May of 2022. Went to Restore. In February of 2023, we began counseling, marriage counseling, and I pretty much insisted that he go to every man's battle. He was very resistant, but eventually he went. I'm talking to JJ, right?
This is Chris Williams.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries.
I think it was JJ that was there.
Yeah.
He mentioned him at every man's battle. Yes. And in August 2023, there was some more discovery where he confessed that it was more than just over the phone. There had been actual physical sex with two other people that he admitted to. One of them he had been in touch with from high school, a high school person, but he'd been carrying on a relationship over the phone, online, and they met a couple times in person over the course of like 6 to 7 years during our marriage. And so anyways, it's been a slow week of discovery, which makes it extra painful because every time I start to heal a little bit and move on, there seems to be more. So,
yes, it's like this whole new traumatic experience. Yeah.
Yes, like it sets me back every time. So I've done Restore. He's done every man's battle. Well, to get to the point, last Thursday, I walked in on him doing something that I've seen him do before, which it's hard to even get myself to say the words. I walked in on him. Let's just say he was.
Can we say acting out?
No, he was acting out.
Yes.
But it feels like it wasn't with another person. He wants me to believe that what he was doing was okay, because I feel like I need to tell you, but it's hard to say. It was with our, this is going to sound really gross and disgusting, but that's what it is. It was with our laundry basket, and he was not putting on my clothing.
Yeah.
He was not putting on my clothing, but I found him over the laundry basket again. And what he was doing makes me feel very violated.
Of course, yeah.
But what he says is, But it's you that I'm wanting, he's trying to tell me that is like an acceptable behavior.
So Nicole, let me jump in. What, since every man's battle, what has he done for his own recovery?
And that's where my question is what, not a lot. We've gone to marriage counseling. That was pretty much at my insistence. We did that for about a year and a half. I said, you need to have some sort of like support group. Like, you're feeling like you're going to be okay now because you just finished this. But as time goes on, So
Nicole, so sorry. Let me jump in. So he hasn't done anything for his own recovery other than attend every man's battle. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to jump in, make sure that that's clear.
That's right.
And even with every man's battle, he was resistant. And even in this latest incident, he's trying to make a justifying clause for his sexually acting out behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So the question for us is?
My question is, what should he be doing? Like, I'm like, is he a sex addict? Like, what is with this?
Okay, so there's an easy answer to that is yes. So I'm going to give you an easy answer, but then I'm going to rephrase your question, make it a different question. So from all accounts, it sounds like your husband is been dealing with a very, very long-term sexual addiction that has escalated in behavior and has had no treatment. No, I mean, other than every man's battle. But again, we know, we talk about it all the time in the weekend. This is a doorway to your recovery. It's not your recovery. Mm-hmm. Right? So the recovery is the rest of your life on a daily basis. And so, got it? Okay. The other aspect of this is that what should he be doing? Yeah, daily recovery. The better question, Nicole, is what should you do?
I know.
Okay, deep breath.
Yeah. That's where I really, really struggle, because in the beginning I was like, okay, well, God is telling me to work through this with him and to forgive him and to trust, and it's going to take time. It's not going to be easy, but this slow discovery of things.
Oh, for sure.
Painful.
How many times can I go through this?
It's very painful. So, Nicole, I want to just ask you something that you just said. To trust, what are you trusting? Yes, trust God, but I wouldn't be trusting your husband. And the forgiveness, just like all this discovery, is a slow leak. When you're in the process of hearing things and feeling violated and feeling hurt, that isn't the moment you forgive. You can forgive for what has passed. But currently and moving forward, that takes new forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't erase it. Right? This is a process that you have to go through. And I think it's really important. I mean, it's great that he went to EMB, but it's kind of like, okay, I checked that box. And we offer sustained victory, because unless you do more, you don't sustain victory over this. And so his own therapy, sex addicts groups on a weekly, daily basis, as Chris was saying. This is all part of it. Now, you can't make that happen for him. You can go to Codependence of Sex Addicts, which is a wonderful group of usually women that are very supportive, so that you know how to deal with him day to day. And that there has to be some structure now. It's like, what can you tolerate? What are you willing to tolerate or not tolerate? That's what you have to start asking yourself in the process of hoping and praying that he will grab hold of recovery and want to save your marriage.
I want to believe in him, so I feel like, okay, maybe we're okay, and then I walk in and discover this, And the thing is, he's wanting to tell me that he doesn't have a sex problem. It's me that he's wanting, and that's why he's doing what I found him doing. And I don't I don't have sex with him enough, so this is what he does,
Okay, so if this were like a first time thing, you might say, well, maybe, but with his history, and the fact that he isn't doing things to be in recovery, I'm not buying it.
Right.
Okay, me either.
You know, Nicole, when you said, well, maybe he's a sex addict, and I have the benefit of looking in the room, and Chris is shaking his head, Jill's shaking her head, and I actually had written sex addict and circled it before you even said it. So here's the deal: if somebody is a sex addict and they go to Every Man's Battle, great choice, right? And now they have goals. Well, I want to quit doing it, but it has to become a habit. Well, the habit of recovery is, as Chris was saying, it's a daily. For the rest of his life, he needs to be working on this on a daily basis, and that might mean that at the beginning you would go to meetings every day. See, and so the people what we see is the people who come to Every Man's Battle, if they're motivated to create a habit and get the recovery, they've been taught that. Your husband's been taught what to do. He's not going with the program. I'll just tell you that much. And anytime there's an addiction, this could be sex addiction, or even for any of our listeners who also have drug and alcohol addiction, or with somebody in their family or whatever, you've got two parallel tracks that must be done at the same time. You didn't choose that he would be a sex addict, but since you're now married to a sex addict, so you want to go through your own recovery. And we sometimes downplay that. But I find that the people who really win are the people who the sex addict is going through recovery, and the person who's been married to the sex addict, they go through their recovery. So what I'm going to say is he needs recovery, but regardless of what decision he makes, I would jump into recovery on your own. And you'll get tools and you'll get the words, and nobody is going to think badly of you. And they have stories. You'll hear their stories and you go, oh my gosh, my story is like, somewhere in the middle there. And that's what you do. You'll also have the tools then. I'm thinking about your 16-year-old, and I realize this is not the predominant issue we're talking about right now, but your 16-year-old walked in on him. So you want to be able to get the help for your 16-year-old too, and that might be counseling. So there may be 3 different things going on, and I realize that sounds overwhelming.
It's a lot.
But you get the help, and they will give you the tools to help in some ways your husband, because he's not working a program. He has a goal. I have a goal to lose weight. If I don't,
he's in denial.
I have a goal to lose weight, and I'm in denial when I had a hamburger this weekend. You just can't do it if you want to lose weight. So it's the same thing with this. He has to have a program. And so I urge you to get the help that you need. And by calling us, that's your start. But what you hear us saying is, now jump in. It's great. I have been in a Celebrate Recovery group before, and I'm not an alcoholic. It was just so good for me spiritually and in so many ways. So I urge you to get into a group that you can find trust, and they can give you the help you need over the long haul to perhaps save this marriage. It helps
you with your doubts.
Yeah.
Right, because when someone is an addict, they're into hiding and sin of omission and lying, and then you question it because you want to believe him. Yeah. So if there's any way you can believe him, your mind will go there.
Yeah. Sure.
And so you need other people that can step in and confirm reality for you.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, is that, Nicole, underneath all of this, wanting to believe him, wanting to trust him,
just wanting it to go away.
Yes,
come on, Chris.
Right? That's inadvertently, that's a participation in the denial.
Yeah.
And participating in the denial is just participating in the addiction, because denial is a hallmark of keeping the addiction alive. Right. And it's really hard and scary in your position, Nicole, because if you come into reality, you come into that pain. But that's where the healing and the growth, and as Jill was saying, that's where your recovery comes in, and you get to be healthy, and you get to live apart from the constant nagging fear and question marks and insecurity that his acting out behavior is producing in the marriage.
Yeah. And you'll learn also what he needs to do. And then that'll even help you understand, he's not doing this.
Yeah.
And what would you all, and I know we don't have much time, but what would you all say about the 16-year-old who saw this?
She needs to get into her own trauma recovery because that's a traumatic experience.
Trauma.
But this is exactly, Nicole, this is exactly why you need to come into reality, get into your own group. You can only trust that which is trustworthy. And he's not trustworthy.
No.
Okay? Otherwise, you're putting yourself and everyone else in harm's way.
Only look at his actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not his words right now.
Absolutely. We're going to send you a copy of Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, because it'll help you understand and get you into that reality. We want you to get into your own groups as well.
He needs worthy of her trust.
Well, he definitely, yes, we'll send you 2
sorry.
copies. That's actually right. We're going to send you also a copy of Worthy of Her Trust.
And you should
for
read
him.
it too,
Yes.
Nicole.
So, Nicole, thank you so much for calling in. Wish you well, and we'll be back right after this.
I am the firstborn of a functional alcoholic. I lost my dad to a murder-suicide. And I now, behind me in my early 60s, have 4 failed marriages. I made choices in men of people I thought I could fix. They all had some type of addiction, sexual, prescription drug addiction. And I have learned so much by finding New Life over the last 10 or so years. I eventually became a Club New Life member. And I cannot say enough good things about all that you all do and the counselors that you have. Everyone is just absolutely wonderful. I have purchased your materials for use in topical Bible studies with women. I have given them as gifts and have told people to tune in. And I just think that this is just such a blessing what you all do, and it's such a help to so many people.
To make your tax-deductible gift, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today. We will be in studio for 2 programs today, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to talk to you. Again, that's 1-800-229-3000. We are going to talk to Todd in Grand Prairie, Texas, listening on KWRD. Todd, tell us what's going on today, man.
Hello. I am just curious. I just wanted to ask a few questions, please.
Go for it.
Okay. I have been reading about 2 philosophies, one of which is called Anhedonia, if I recall correctly.
Is it Anhedonia?
That maybe how it's pronounced. I'm not for sure.
No problem. That is the inability to experience pleasure. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I believe that sounds right. The second one is a philosophy called nihilism.
Nihilism? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are your views on those 2 philosophies?
Okay, so let's see if we can get this. Let me ask this question. Todd, you're looking up something that is the inability to experience pleasure, and nihilism is that everything is meaningless, is sort of the most basic way to put it. Why are these 2 things of interest to you at this point in your life?
That involves a fairly complicated, long story.
Uh-huh.
However, let's just say these are appealing philosophies philosophies to me at this time.
Okay.
In my life.
Because if you're interested in both of those philosophies, I actually have a big concern for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I'm sorry?
I actually have a big... having interest in those two particular topics creates a concern inside of me for you.
Okay. In what regard, sir?
I'll start with this word, depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was wondering if you have a history of depression, Todd.
I have been struggling with depression, if that's what you mean.
That's exactly what we
yeah.
mean. Yeah. Yeah. And how long have you been struggling with depression?
Well, there was an incident that happened about 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was at an extremely low point in my life at that time.
Okay. And my guess is that what happened 7 years ago was a painful experience.
Yes, sir. It was.
Okay. Todd, how old are you?
I am 50.
You're 50. Okay. And my guess is that even 7 years ago, that was not your first painful experience.
No, it was not, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it just sounds like, unfortunately, you've had a lot of painful experiences in your life.
I have, yes.
Yeah. So let me start here, and then I'm going to hand it off to the wisdom that I share with in the room. But anhedonia, the inability to experience pleasure, is one of the key symptoms of depression. Mm-hmm. In nihilism is that inability to, or is the belief that everything is meaningless, that kind of speaks to a hopeless and helpless condition as well. That also speaks to depression. That's why we kind of addressed it from here. So Jill, what do you have for Todd?
Well, Todd, I'm so sorry for how you have struggled. And I'm wondering if you, looking at these philosophies, as you're stating, is a way to make sense of your world right now. When we've had a lot of events in life that are difficult, we can feel really beaten down. And depression then can be a common result of that. Especially, too, if there's any depression in the family, because there's also a biologic component as well. Which speaks to why some people go into depression versus other things. But for you, Todd, feeling depressed over a long period of time, for some people, they habituate to that base level depression that may not always be as extreme as you talked about 7 years ago, but it's still constantly hanging in the background. And so that becomes normal. And so the idea that everything feels meaningless, there's no pleasure, there is help for those things. That isn't a normal baseline of functioning. And I'm wondering if you've done anything to address these symptoms in your life.
I have spoken to several counselors.
Okay. And how has that gone for you?
I haven't really felt as though I've received the help that I needed.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever seen a psychiatrist about this?
Once or twice, maybe.
Okay. Have you ever tried antidepressant medication?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay. Sometimes when people can't seem to get through the depression, they need an added help, something to bring the bottom up so that the processing and the therapy actually can be of benefit. And if that's something you've never tried, that might be a next step for you to get evaluated by a psychiatrist for this. Even if it's right now a low-grade depression, it's still causing you to not experience life to its fullest.
Absolutely. Todd, when we return from the break, we're going to give you some direction and places to go to get the help that you need. Because, listen, depression is nothing to wink at or mess around with. It is a serious condition. It's suffering. It could even be lethal. So, Todd, we want to help you get the help that you need, and we'll be back right after this.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First, it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're so glad that you are with us today. If you are struggling with something, want us to guide you into a little bit better health, healing, vitality, and what I like to refer to myself as the ability to follow God's will. Give us a call today, 1-800-229-3000. We'd love to talk to you. We have some open lines. We'll be in studio for a couple of shows today. And right now we're talking with Todd, and it just sounds like Todd is struggling with some historical pain in his life and some depression. So, Jim, what do you think?
Well, Todd, I've been kind of listening, and I think you're really smart. And for somebody to even talk about what you called philosophies, I really appreciate that. I mean, you've been doing your homework. I don't think they're philosophies because a philosophy is something that people want to then live by. You don't want to live with an inability to have pleasure, and you don't want to live with meaninglessness. And I think that they've brought up some really good ideas about, I would get another evaluation, my friend. And I would go to a psychiatrist and look at the medication side. But I do have a question for you. Are you doing this alone? Are there people in your life who support you, a community of people, a church maybe, but somebody who knows you and can walk alongside of you?
No, sir.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel very much alone? I mean, is it that people don't? Do you feel like people don't know you and what you've gone through or are going through?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I want to suggest that not only do you get the kind of help that you, that works. I mean, there is help, and the counselors didn't work. Okay, so
Well, and sorry to interrupt,
No, go
but
ahead.
one of the things that makes life meaningful, Todd, is that we have even a few people to share it with.
Right.
And so I feel really sad for you in that. And I don't know your whole story, so I don't know the obstacles to that for you.
Right.
But I think perhaps the psychiatrist could also recommend a group process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes a group where people are struggling and they come together and support each other.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Fills that void.
Todd, I'm in a group, and I have been in it for 22 years, and these are now some of my best friends. They weren't when we started, and I surely wasn't going to be totally open with them at the beginning. But I really want to encourage you to do both and, have another evaluation and be open to the medical side to this. It sounds like some of this stuff that people have thrown at you hasn't worked. And so, go to a trusted person, a trusted psychiatrist. But also then, and like what Jill said, that psychiatrist could probably give some ideas on a group, and I think we can here too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would suggest that and that's a hard step, especially if you've been alone. Too. So go with baby steps into that group. But
and maybe trying, once you get on a medication, trying therapy again and developing some trust. Because if you've been hurt a lot, it's probably hard for you to trust people, and that may be part of. Yeah. So that's why, like a group that has some boundaries around it. Yeah. So that can help foster trust, or with a therapist.
And a group that has kind of a leader who understands Todd and can show understanding. But I think the boundaries are important, because Todd needs to be able to understand that he can be in a group where things don't get out, people don't talk about him or talk about his problems. And that really, that's a safe place when you know you can talk about an issue that happened 7 years ago or 17 years ago or whatever. And then they're not going to talk. They're going to support him. They're going to call him in between.
Well, and Todd, I just want to, piggyback on all of that, because one of the very, very common experiences is that pain depletes us. And there's no pain on planet Earth like relational pain. Yeah. And so when we're carrying relational pain throughout our life, it really, really drains us and beats us down. I talk about the 3 levels of depression. It goes from life becomes disappointing, and if that sits too long, it becomes discouraging. And if that sits too long, it becomes despairing. And you hit that despairing part because people are painful. And here's the toughest thing about that, is what gets hurt in relationship can't be healed in isolation. Yeah. It has to be healed in relationship. And so that's really what they're referring to and going with. So, Todd, we can connect you with some resources out there. So stay on the line. Let us help guide you. And this is a great reminder to everyone else out there. If you need help, if you are struggling, like Todd is struggling, give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have plenty of resources, counselors, network throughout the country. And Todd, we're going to send you the Emotional Freedom Workbook. And that will be something that comes alongside that you can begin to work through and start working through some of those pains and disappointments that you're carrying in your life. So, Todd, thank you so much for calling in today. Thank you for your transparency and vulnerability with us. And I know it's not just a help to you, it's a help to so many other people out there. We're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to go to Paula, listening in Indianapolis, Indiana on YouTube. Paula, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Glad that you called in. Talk to us. What's going on?
Thank you. Well, I echoed Nicole, your previous caller. I feel a little nervous.
That's okay.
There's a backstory regarding the situation, and I'm from a blended family. I'm the mother of a blended family, and we've been together for several decades now. And my stepdaughter is, we learned about a year ago, is living in a polyamory throuple relationship. And she's married to the man, and there's a third female partner. And she has a little 1-year-old boy and is pregnant with a second boy. And then there's 4 other kids that are also involved in this family lifestyle. And initially, when we first found out, my husband and I, we, told her of our love for her. We couldn't embrace this lifestyle. We talked about God's plan. She knows us. She knows we come from a God viewpoint and perspective. And so initially she estranged herself from us for several months, and then she started contacting and reaching out again. And so we've got a relationship with her and our grandson, and we don't have one with him. He's never really connected with us or made an attempt to connect with us. So we had him, certainly embraced him and cared for him before this all came out. So I guess the question is, there are other children involved, and they try to, when we see them on FaceTime or so forth, they always want to say hi, and of course we say hello and we welcome them. And
for sure. And so Paul, let me jump in here. So we get a good picture of what's going on here. What's the question for us today?
The question is going forward for my husband and I, because we don't want to embrace it, but it's kind of conflicting with who we are as Christians and loving other people and embracing and welcoming. And so for us to make this boundary of not having them all over for the holidays or having all these things.
And what you mean by all, let me jump in. So, because we got to leave some time for us to answer the question. So part of it is that your stepdaughter and her multiple sexual partners, correct?
One being her husband and the other a third partner, yes.
Okay, and how do we navigate the relationship with them?
That's the question, is because...
Okay, so so Paul, let us jump in, okay? So, Jim, this is a really complex one.
Right.
Okay.
And it's amazing how often we hear something like this, too. Paula, I think you're doing a great job. And now that doesn't mean it feels good, and it doesn't mean, there's easy answers, but here's what I like about it. In this blended family, you're showing them still love. You're talking to the grandson. You're welcoming the kids and saying that. Because again, you can't fix this. And I want you to hear this really loud and clear, that you are a parent, even in a blended family. A parent is not defined by poor choices of a child. And we sometimes define our own selves that. So you got to understand that. No, I think it's messy. And you'll have to decide, and I wish there was a manual on this, and there's not. But I think when you really look at Scripture, I think Jesus led with love. He practiced kindness. He held his boundaries. And so there's going to be times when you and your husband are going to have to say, okay, what do we do for Christmas? Who do we invite, and how does this work? But I do think it's possible to embrace them without embracing their behavior. And I really want you to kind of think of that. What can we do to embrace them without because she came back. She is estranged from you, but she came back and wants a relationship. I think it's really possible to embrace them without embracing their behavior. I hear the music.
Yeah. And I think there's room for honest conversations around that. Yeah.
And I think she's done it. She said she did. I like that.
Absolutely. Paula, this is a really complicated situation, but I love what you said, Jim. Embrace them without embracing the behaviors. Have an honest conversation with them about Christmas, about gatherings, about this, and what you need in your home, Paula. I want to encourage you greatly on that. We're also going to send you a copy of Jim's book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Thank you for calling in. We're going to be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today. You know, we are just talking with Paula, and oh my goodness, what a challenging, complicated, layered situation that it's even a struggle for us sometimes on radio. It's like, do we have an easy answer here?
Well, right. And obviously, like, she's trying to figure out, Paula, you're trying to figure out holidays and how do we be accepting without condoning. And that's, like you've been saying, it's very layered and difficult. And so sometimes we have to kind of try some different ideas on for size. Like, do you just invite daughter, husband, and grandchild and not include the others? And then how would that go over? And yet, we were saying at the break, we've not seen these types of situations play out over time and survive. And so you want to look at the long game. And
that's really good. Yeah.
Right, Jim, you were talking about that. Be the safe place for her to come and land. So you want to keep relationship open. And maybe you are honest with her and discuss different ideas. We want to include you. We don't know how to include everybody and feel comfortable.
Well, people support what they help create. So sometimes even asking, saying, look, you know us. We love you. That's not going away. However, we need some help with this because, we don't embrace what you're doing in terms of these choices, but we also want you to know we love you. So help us how do we do Christmas?
Right. Let's talk about some ideas.
Yeah. Give us some counsel. I mean, it sounds so funny, but give us some counsel in terms of how we who have, a biblical worldview.
Like daughter, how do you envision it?
Exactly.
And here's how, we need to kind of go back and forth with these ideas.
I don't think it's ever a problem to say, look, we love you. Here's what we have a problem with, and we don't know how to fix this. Do you have any ideas? And she may not have an idea. She may get mad.
And maybe you do something separate from Christmas.
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
Let's go and we'll have a park day, and everybody can come.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that way we're not, bringing it into the rest of the family. And
right. No, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, Jim, this actually brings up a great topic, and that is coming on the heels of the release of your book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to ask you about is, what are the biggest concerns about today's culture regarding sexuality that you see and how it's affecting students and parents?
Well, I see it changing, ever changing. So what was something in the culture sexually in 2010 is very different than it was. So none of us are prepared for this because none of us really had to work through this. Was that happening then? Sure, it was, even in Paula's story. But we didn't talk about it, or it wasn't there. Today, I think it's important for us to have those honest, difficult, yes, awkward, yes, but have those honest conversations. And the question you have to ask is, when it comes to even this one, are we going to listen to the voice of culture, or are we going to listen to the voice of authority, which is God?
Yeah.
And, the Bible is not a sex manual. I mean, the Bible is definitely saying God created sex. He sees it as very good in the context of marriage between a man and a woman. And the Bible's clear. But the problem in our world is we have to kind of sometimes stand in the messy middle, and that's what Paula's doing. That's where she has to listen to the discernment for her own self, because your immediate reaction is to shun or just stop the relationship. Then you're not going to be safe, because you said it, Jill.
Right.
This is not playing the long game. It's going to look different 5 years from now. I'll just guarantee you. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
it will not look
for their daughter's sake.
And this is,
be safe.
I think the discernment is not just listening to the church, because sometimes well-meaning Christians will just shut things down without any process, because
Engaging
it's
in the
too
process.
uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So we just throw a rule at it and kind of religiosity instead of really wrestling with God over this.
I think we have to be careful, and we have to understand the heart of God. And as we, it's funny, you were talking about this book that I wrote. It's my most spiritual book, because we have to understand the heart of God. And the heart of God, he has this, here's why I created sex and why I created sexuality. And, a man will leave his father and mother, be united to his wife. I mean, he's talking about that. And at the same time, he's talking about his children who are kind of goofing up. And again, so back to the culture idea, we have to be very careful. Even cultural icons who have now very liberal views, they didn't have a liberal view 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can't listen to the screaming voice of the culture, because that changes with the wind.
Sure.
A Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity by Jim Burns, Aaron Mashaw. I'm telling you, like, what it was for me in reading this book was apart from having teenagers and having students, it was a great reminder of a North Star of what God is leading and calling us to. And I think that we need that reminder. This book is obviously for people like me who have students, but for people like me, because I'm a human being on planet
Well, I think I want to read it, even though my kids are older now.
Well, there's a theology of healthy sexuality. And part of that is just what the Bible says about sex, and it's not all bad stuff, I'll tell you. But there's also a theology of how we treat people who don't have the same view as us.
Yes.
And that's a hard one. But I think God, through especially looking at the life of Jesus, we really see someone who stayed strong to Scripture, never went strayed from Scripture, but also loved people who didn't live like they should have been living.
Well, and Jim, I think that you and Aaron do a fantastic job of not just relegating this to a prohibition, message, or just a message about the act of sex, but rather an understanding of our bodies. And I think one of the most important messages in this book is the message about relationship. Is that our sexuality occurs in the context of relationship. And how do we do healthy relationship? We look at it from God's design, and I love how you led with the way that Jesus does relationships.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? We didn't. My parents never talked to me about how to do relationships. But I mean, they didn't talk about sex. They didn't talk to me about sex. But I think it's time for parents to take the wheel and start teaching people how to have a healthy relationship. And nobody has a perfect relationship. But it's time for kids to hear it from their most trusted sources, which are their parents.
Well, Jim, again, thank you so much for your courage, your and Aaron's courage to write this book, put it out there. And because, again, you're tackling some hard subjects, I know that process couldn't always be easy. And I don't even know. For you, for me, there would be like, oh boy, how's this thing going to go?
Oh, seriously. Well, I'm at that age where I'm not as worried about it as I would have been if I would have written this 20 years ago.
We've already done all the awkward conversations,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
You still have some to go.
No, I tell my boys, I said, it's time to get awkward. Let's get awkward.
I love it.
Hey, we can do awkward. So thank you all for joining us today on our show. We want to encourage you to check out our resources. Go to our website, newlife.com. Give us a call if you need help today, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Also, we are going to be in studio for another program today. So if you didn't get on, stay with us. Hang with us. We'll get you to the next hour. If you want to talk to us, you still want to get on, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Again, that's 1-800-229-3000. We had talked about a Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. You can go on our website and order yourself a copy of that. We encourage you to do it. And like I said, obviously, if you have children in the home, you need to get this book. But let me just say, if you're a human being on planet Earth, like myself, the book is still helpful. Get the book. It's a great, great resource. And one other plug for this book, because I think it's really important. If you are a youth leader.
I was just thinking that, Chris.
Right,
yes, they need this book.
If you're a youth leader, this is essential reading, essential guide.
Anybody that works with you.
Yes, absolutely. Again, Jim, we thank you for writing this book. We thank Aaron as well. We thank you for being with us today. Again, if you want to talk to us, we got another program coming up, 1-800-229-3000. And we wish you a very, very good day. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.